Got lost listening to Oasis. Man, that is a just amazing, amazing album. Really is. Anyway, how's everyone doing? Friday night, episode 90. Can you believe this? I've done this 90 days in a row. That's crazy. I don't think I'm not sure what I've done 90 days in a row intentionally. I mean, unintentionally, you do all sorts of things. I've been breathing 90 days in a row. But yes, 90 days in a row. So thanks for being here. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for paying attention or not. I don't really know. I can't tell. You're over there and I'm here. So today's crazy. I have 1, 2, and almost 3 pages. Like so much stuff happened today. Maybe I wasn't as discerning as I am. Normally I'm pretty discerning, but today I just, it'll go all the way to the end. So you'll have to stay for the very end because the very end is poignant. At least I think so. The very end. Okay. I'm one of those things like, breaking news, the very end. You have to stay for the whole thing because it'll be poignant. And whoever was here just left. So it wasn't good enough. It wasn't poignant enough. Oh, all right. Well, today is Chop Suey Day. Now, it's Chop Suey Day because I found when I was digging through my stuff that, hold on, it's somewhere. Sorry. Okay, so in 1896, chop suey is supposedly invented in New York City by a chef for a visiting Chinese diplomat. So that's why it's Chop Suey Day, because it was supposedly invented on this day. So there's that one. College Colors Day. So it's supposed to be the Friday before Labor Day, and you're supposed to wear your college colors. So that's what that one was. According to Hoyle Day. So apparently Hoyle, so I can go back to this. This guy died today. Edwin Hoyle. He was the first birthday today. The first technical writer for a card game. And it's called Whist. 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 I have not heard of that. But I guess he was a technical writer for rules, and you're supposed to follow the rules on cards, basically, is what this guy is. But also it's birthday, so that's why. Technical oil. Sports Sampling Day, sampling your sports, and Lemon Juice Day. Oh, I had this lemon juice. I found this stuff. It's called Lemon Perfect, organic lemon water, 0 sugar. Yeah, I'm digging this. It's like 10 calories, but yeah, I'm just saying. Not sponsored, but I would be. But yeah, Lemon Perfect. It has other flavors, but I like that lemon aftertaste. I don't know if it's whatever, chemically, sugary, whatever, but Lemon Perfect. So I'm having my lemon juice on Lemon Juice Day. Tomorrow is National Beach Day, National Toasted Marshmallow Day. So, burn it out, marshmallow, yum. Maybe marshmallows tomorrow night. Why not? And then Grief Awareness Day. We'll see how poignant all of this is. All of it. Okay? So if you come in late, and you have to stay for the end because the end has poignancy tonight. Because I had an interesting day, to say the least. So 708, copper coins are minted for the first time in Japan. So apparently they didn't make coins before out of copper. I don't know. I didn't look because I got, like I said, so much stuff. So I didn't know if they're doing gold, silver, bronze, whatever, but copper coins. Like we did copper coins. They were called pennies. 1758, which this one I was like, wait, really? And I didn't research. I'm sorry, but the New Jersey legislature, 1758, New Jersey legislature forms the first Indian reservation, New Jersey. I was like, what? New Jersey? I mean, I know there was Indians, but American Native Indian, but New Jersey. All right, I guess that, sure. 1786, Shane's Rebellion was in Springfield and Worcester, Massachusetts. Only reason I bring up some of these things because of significance to me. Worcester, Mass is where my dad was from, and his aunt and some of my relatives from Worcester, Mass. Armed citizens took up against the government because of them trying to collect both personal and business taxes. Armed citizens rebelling against the government. I mean, who could imagine? 1831, Michael Faraday, we know that name, Faraday coil, Faraday cage. Faraday demonstrates the first electric transformer. So the Faraday cage, if you know what that is like a copper cage where if you go inside it, like you have things like you can get your wallet can be a Faraday. It basically doesn't let signals penetrate in or out. So you could, no cell phone signals, no electronic signals, no radio waves go in or out of a Faraday cage. 1862, the Department of Treasury forms the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and they start printing our actual paper currency, particularly the dollar bill, the lowest form of paper denomination. Now, remember I said this before, George Washington was not the first person on the dollar bill, okay? It was Salmon, like salmon, like swishy, you know, Salmon P. Chase. And he was not a president. He was like the Secretary of Treasury, Under Secretary or something. I didn't really care, but I was like, I just needed to know who it was. But Salmon P. Chase, he was the guy on the very first dollar bill. Okay? 1885, the first heavyweight boxing title fight using 3-ounce gloves. 3-ounce gloves is not much of a glove, just so you know. That's like just about bare knuckle boxing, okay? That's a really thin glove. 3-minute rounds between Sullivan and McCarthy occurs. It occurs in Cincinnati, Ohio. A lot of Ohio references tonight. And again, I don't choose these and pick these. They just kind of catch me because it's Ohio. Because that's where I'm at. Also 1885, Gottlieb Daimler patents the first motorcycle in Germany with a German patent. Now, I was like, wait a second, Daimler, I've heard of Daimler Chrysler. Guess what? That's who it is. He actually Daimler became something, there was Mercedes, and then this, and then Daimler, and then Benz, and this, and then became Daimler-Benz, and then eventually Mercedes-Benz. Most popular car brand in the world, and they bought Daimler Chrysler back in like the 80s. So that's why Benz bought Chrysler Corporation, and that's why it was Daimler Chrysler, because of this guy, Gottlieb Daimler, who was a German automaker and inventor, and who patented the first motorcycle in 1885. There it is. And then 1896, Chop Suey, hence why it's Chop Suey Day. 1898, Goodyear Tire Company is founded. So we know that the Goodyear Tire Company, that was founded on this date in 1898. 1916, Congress, because that's how it works, Congress creates the U.S. Naval Reserve. Congress. 1944, 15,000 U.S. troops liberate Paris and parade down the Champs-Élysées. Now, I don't usually talk about war things because there's a lot in that zone of war stuff that happens because we're warring machines as a species. But that one's just very famous. You know, you've seen the pictures of, you know, the GIs coming down the Champs-Élysées. But that happened in 1944 on this day. 1954 on this day, San Francisco International Airport opens. SFO. For people who are curious, because Newark is EWR, and I only know that because that's where I'm from. And Columbus is CMH. What else do I know? St. Louis is STL. Let's see, LaGuardia is LAG, or LU. No, it's not LAG. Damn it. All right, I'll stop right there. 1958, Cliff Richard releases the song Move It, which is considered the first British rock and roll song. I listened to it. Yeah, it is kind of rock and roll, and I could see that being a rock and roll song. So yes, that was today the very first rock and roll song. But we have more coming that's British and rock and roll. Because again, I don't know if people look this stuff up and go, that's the day we want to do it because that makes sense, or if it's just coincidental that some of this stuff happens on these days. There's only so many days in a year, but still. Sometimes it feels less than coincidental. It just does. It just does. George Harrison joins the Quarrymen on this day in 1958. George Harrison joins the Quarrymen on this day, who then become the Beatles. He was 15 when he joined them. Think about that. Harrison was 15 when he joined the Quarrymen and then became the Beatles. Interesting that they were that young. I mean, we know they were young, but 15 is when he actually started. So, also on this day, the Beatles made their last public show appearance. It happened in Candlestick Park in San Francisco. They played for 25,000 people with 7,000 unsold seats. So that's interesting that's, they kind of must have lost a little of their popularity. They weren't selling out big stadiums at that point. 1967, The Fugitive, British TV show The Fugitive, ends its last episode with David Jansen. I remember The Fugitive. That was kind of an interesting show. I was young, but I kind of remember that. But it had 76 million people watch the finale, which is a record-breaking number in those times. 76 million people to watch it. 1977, I'm going to change this and turn that off for a second. 1977, boop, this guy, hold on, I gotta make it bigger. Oh, wait, sorry, because it came really small. Ta-da! 1977, Mr. Iggy Pop, right there with me and Andy Man. Releases, what? Lust for Life, with a collaboration with David Bowie. David Bowie collaborated on Lust for Life. And look, and they're in with Bowie as well. Who knew? So I got to meet both Bowie and look, you can really see how different his eyes are in that picture. You can see that he has the two different colored eyes. And look, I'm wearing my houndstooth coat. That's the same coat I had when I met, because that was my favorite coat. I wore that sport coat all the time. I've always been a sports coat guy, just so you know. You can see that. But I wore that when I met Sinead O'Connor. I've always had sport coats. They were like my man purse because it had pockets, so I could put like a toothbrush in there, and I could put like gum and just all the crap that I didn't have in my pants pockets. And carrying a purse just didn't work for me, or a man bag. So I always have a sport coat because I can just stuff my pockets with stuff. Hence the Monty Hall reference to me being like, hey, I've got, wait, hold on. What do I have here? Oh, Post-it notes. And I've got a bottle cap and a flashlight that you pump because I went to the catacombs. Always something. That's just how it works. Stuff in my pockets. Hold on, I got to move to the next slide here. There we go. All right. So David Bowie, 1977, E-Pop Lust for Life. 1982, I found this to be interesting. Cleveland, Ohio, lowest temperature in the history, 38 degrees. I mean, okay. I mean, it was 70-something, but yeah, it's pretty damn cold. 38 degrees in August. Coldest August day, 38 degrees. 1982, Steve Miller Band releases Abracadabra, and it becomes #1 song. Abracadabra, I want to reach out and grab ya. Took me a minute to think of that song. I'm like, wait, I remember that song. I do remember Abracadabra. 1988, 4,497 people break the Guinness Book of World Records for tap dancing at the Macy's. Of course, it was sponsored by Macy's. Macy's Tapomania. 4,497 people tapping. And they tap to I Did It My Way. I did it my way. Who knew, right? 1992, U2 plays its first of 2 sold-out shows at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Now, I think I'm trying to think which show I saw in 1992 when I saw U2, because I saw U2 in 1992. I think it was in Madison Square Garden when I saw them. Maybe that was 91. But I think that might have been the first time I saw them. It was like 1991, maybe. Anyway, I think I made it there. So 1994, which what I was listening to, in which I said, do people plan these things because this? 1984 was the release of the band Oasis, Definitely Maybe, the debut album, which I was just listening to. That's a really good album. It really is. So, I mean, if you're an Oasis fan, go ahead. Just go to YouTube, pop it on, and listen to it in its entirety. It's actually really damn good. It was also the fastest selling album of the time. Just ripping off the shelves. And I can see why. And I can see why people want to go see them. I want to go see them too. So maybe I'll go see them. I don't know. And maybe I won't. I'll try. But such is life. We shall see how it goes. Okay? But that was also today. So yeah, see that whole Cliff Richards thing and then Oasis. I mean, it just seems like synergy, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's completely coincidence. I don't know. I can't tell you if it is or isn't. Okay? 1997, Netflix comes on the scene as an online DVD rental. I don't know if you had Netflix and chill back in 1997. Bet we did. Just didn't know about it. 2003, Skype releases its, what's that word I put there? Something video conference technical software. Pioneer, that's it, pioneering. See, I scribble. I'm just scribbling. But they released their pioneering video conference tech software on this date in 2003. Okay, now this stuff gets interestingly crazy, creepy, scary, wild. Obviously, 2005, today is the day that Hurricane Katrina made its second and third landfall, basically wiping out Louisiana and causing $115 billion in damage. That, you know, the whole Ninth Ward thing and everything else happened when the levee broke, and a lot of people unfortunately lost their lives. FEMA. Let's see how FEMA does. In 2007, 6 cruise missiles loaded with nuclear warheads were accidentally loaded onto a B-52 heavy bomber and flown from, I believe they said, North Dakota to Louisiana, to most people's surprise when it landed and they found that they had 6 active nuclear warheads that went on this test flight. Like, oops, sorry, my bad. Didn't know this was going to happen. Sounds like the movie Broken Arrow. Oh, it's a test flight, but there's real nukes on it. Okay, I'm glad we knew about that one. What else don't we know about? That's always the fun thing. If you know about that one, what don't we know about? Because I was like, holy crap, is that real? You know, accident, right, accident, oops. That's just nuts. And again, like I said, weird stuff here. 2012, banana spider venom is shown to, it basically fixes ED, erectile dysfunction. Banana spider venom. So I couldn't even go there. How do we know this? And why do we know this? Did someone get their Johnson bit by a banana spider and then they're like, ooh, I'm turned on? I mean, how does this work? I don't get that. Or what do we test? How are we like testing people? Like, okay, I'm just going to inject you with a bunch of different stuff and see if anything gets you a Woody. Okay, nope, that didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. Hey, oh, banana spider venom. Again, how do we figure some of this stuff out? It's way beyond my comprehension level. I don't get it. I really don't. Banana spider venom fixes ED. I'm out. I don't get it. 2013, Gary Sinise has made an honorary Marine. Did you know my roommate in college was a Marine? I pinned his first, when he became a lieutenant, I pinned his first bars on him. Old salty Gunny saluted him and gave him a silver dollar, because that's our tradition from the Navy, which is also the part of the Marines. He actually retired from the Marines as a full bird colonel. So think about that. My college roommate was a full bird colonel in the Marines. So that's the kind of crazy, like, roommate I had. Very, very interesting guy, too. Still good friends with him. John McCain lies in state in Arizona. in the rotunda. Now, I was like, wait a second. Did we not just talk about John McCain the other day? We did. Because on this day, when I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, John McCain. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, oh, right. He died on August 25th. So he just died a couple days ago. So, I mean, yeah, so his birthday was just, today's his birthday. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, so today is his birthday, and he died on the 25th. So I was like, oh, interesting. Again, that whole 10% more that you die closer to your birthday or not. John McCain, another example of that. So he lies in the stake because he died just the other day on the 25th, and today's his birthday. Just saying. Also, I'm in birthdays, right? I'm not, oh, no, I'm not even into birthdays yet. I'm getting birthdays. That was it. That was the John McCain thing. All right, now I think, oh, no, I'm not. Sorry, I still keep going because I'm out of order here. So that was 2018. 2019, quote unquote, science announces that there's no single gay gene and that genetic markers only make up 25% of same-sex behavior. The study is published and says in Science. I was like, who is this Science? I went to look it up other places and they were like, Science. I was like, all right, whose science is this? So I know these things. 2020, Musk unveils a pig named Gertrude with a computer chip in her brain so that it's part of his Neuralink startup so that there can be the brain-machine interface with Gertrude the pig. So like I said, this part just gets weird. There's just weird crap that happens. 2021, Hurricane Ida crashes New Orleans on the anniversary of Katrina as a Category 4, screwing up a lot of stuff that isn't even fixed yet. Still. And then 2023, in Australia, of all places, because where else but Australia, a live worm parasite is found in a woman's brain. The first time, I guess, apparently. So we've had others. I don't know. Someone that's in charge of our science now had a worm in their brain. Again, just. We've gone from the surreal to the bizarre at this point. So, just, okay, sure, worms and spider venom for woodies. Why not? Born on this day, Henry Bergh, 1811. He is the founder of the ASPCA in New York City. That's where he's from, but he was founder of the ASPCA. 1876, Charles Kelly invents the auto self-starter. And he's from Loudonville, Ohio. Or basically, instead of having to go and cranking your car up, you could turn a key. The key would, like the, you'd have the ignition that's actually turned by a motor that starts the car up. That's what it is. I had to look at it, I'm like, well, what do you mean? Yes, but from Loudonville, Ohio. Again, there's all those Ohio references today. 1915, birthday, Ingrid Bergman from Casablanca. But wait a second. I was like, wait. Because when I go to the other page, 1982, Ingrid Bergman died on her birthday. She was 67 years old. So again, in that 10%, that 10% more likely to die close to your birthday. I'm like, holy crap, that's one of those weird things. 1917, Isabel Sanford. She was Wheezy Jefferson on both Jefferson and All in the Family. 1920, Charlie Bird Parker, jazz saxophone extraordinaire. Charlie Parker. Listen to a little Charlie Parker tonight. Good stuff. That was some good stuff right there. 1922, Mr. Blackman. He was a fashion critic. Or Blackwell, sorry. I'm like, what's that now? With Blackwell. But it just said Mr. Blackwell. It didn't say like his first name. I was like, wait, what? Mister? Was he like, Prince or Madonna? Just Mr. Blackwell, fashion critic. 1923, Richard Attenborough from Jurassic Park. You remembered? He was the old dude who was talking about all the stuff, found the I just lost the word. Wow, that's old brain right there, just fried. Whew, I remember. I can see it. I just can't tell you what it is. Where the sap, amber, the amber, where they had the mosquito. But yes, Richard Attenborough. Charles Gray, 1928. I was like, wait a second, what's that name? Charles Gray was Blofeld in 007 Diamonds Are Forever. He was also in Rocky Horror Picture Show. If you remember that. He was that British guy in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then 1936, John McCain. His birthday is today. And because I was, like I said, didn't he just wait? Yes, because he just died. Because he's in state in Arizona. Again, that 10% thing. Birthdays today also, Elliot Gould, who was in MASH, the original movie MASH, Elliot Gould. 1940, James Brady, and we just spoke about this the other day because of John Hinckley Jr., who pled not guilty for shooting President Ronald Reagan and injuring James Brady, who the Brady Bill was founded for. So this is that guy. James Brady shot when Ronald Reagan was attempted assassination by John Hinckley Jr., who again thought that he was destined to do that because, I hit fade to black. Nope, didn't mean to do that. When we go back, stop. Okay, there you go. I was just over here swatting at buttons. My bad, because I'm like, your stream will stop immediately. I don't want to do that. Stop that. I don't know what I'm doing here. There we go. All right. I just hitting buttons over here. Just am too excited. I got too much stuff in my brain today. Like I said, it was a weird day, and I'll explain the weird day. We're getting toward the end. It's getting there. We've done 27 minutes, and make sure my timer's not going off here. Timer's not going off. But yes, weird day, and I'll explain how my day got weird, or why it was weird. 1941, see, now it says it, there it is, now it's going to go down. So I'm going to switch cameras so you can see all my stuff. I didn't even turn it on. Wow, I'm really moving it today. All right, so I'm going to fix this camera. There we go, almost. Don't forget, like and subscribe to Randsanity. I think I have 604 subscribers, and I've done nothing, and nobody else is following because they don't add anything to it. I know, at some point I will, I promise. Anyway, back to that. Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. We're here in the basement of Randy Malloy, the Randsanity. I'd show you the thing, but I didn't turn the camera on, so. I know, it happens. Sorry, what do you want me to do? Steely Morrison, Velvet Underground, birthday today, 1942. 1953, Rick Downey of Blue Oyster Cult. 1956, G.G. Allen. Punk rock G.G. Allen. Just crazy ass G.G. Allen. I believe he was from Ohio. I think so. 1958, the king of pop himself. Born on this day, Mr. Michael Jackson. MJ got weird at the end there, with all sorts of rumors flying and everything else. So I'm just going to, it's Michael Jackson's birthday. We'll leave it at that, okay? 1963, Elizabeth Frere, the Cocteau Twins. One of the Cocteau Twins, born on this day. 1965, Dinah Spivey Waters, born on this day, was in Freaky Friday. The only reason that she's there is because she's from Columbus, Ohio. I had to look her up, her picture. I'm like, oh, wait, I've seen her before somewhere. But yeah, from Columbus, Ohio. How's that one for you? And then Kyle Rock of Matchbox 20. No, wait, how did I get lost here with all these birthdays? Did I end this? Or did I miss something out here? Did it go from 65 to... maybe. I might have just screwed all that up and just stopped at 65 because there was nobody else. I think that's what wound up happening. I think it's because I just was like tired of birthdays. All right. Deaths on this day. On this day, in remembrance. In the year 29, John the Baptist. He was beheaded. You don't know John the Baptist. Just off with his head. 1584, Pedro Ponce de Leon. Now, he is not the Fountain of Youth guy, but he is what they believe is the first teacher of deaf children. So he took it upon himself to teach the deaf. But no one was teaching deaf children anything before then. They just kind of struggled through it. 1877, the man from the Latter-day Saints, Brigham Young, deceased on this day. Also on this day, Pierre Cagnon, bicycle inventor. He was French, guess that. 1931, David Abercrombie and Fitch, passed on this day. Michael Dunn. Now this one I was like, wait, what? It said short actor. I was like, wait, what is this? So I had to look up who Michael Dunn was because I was like, not sure. But I was like, oh, wait, he was in the Wild Wild West, that TV show. And he was like a recurring character. But he also was a dwarf. I was like, really? You said short actor. You had to put that in the description? Like you just couldn't put actor? Michael Dunn actor? You had to put short actor. Sometimes I'm just, still amazed at how things are written. You're just like, really? Short actor? All right. Okay. I mean, I'm not trying to be, anything other than I find it interesting. And like I said, Ingmar Bergman, born on this day and died on this day. Died on her 67th birthday. 1987, Lee Marvin, actor, bad guy actor in a lot of movies. He always played a hard ass in everything he did. But good old Lee Marvin. 1990, Sandy died. She was the dog in Annie. So I was like, okay, well, there's still hope if the dog can get a credit. Barry Cowsill of the Cowsills died in this day in 2005. He drowned in Hurricane Katrina, of all things. Right? I mean, 1,300 people died, so why not someone famous? So Barry Cowsill of the Cowsills drowned in Hurricane Katrina. 2007, Alfred Peet of Peet's Coffee passed away. 2007, also, Richard Jewell. Now, if you remember Richard Jewell, that name he was the security guard in the Atlanta, the Central Olympic Park bombing incident. He's the one who found the bombs and then was dogged for years until his death that he was the one who planted the bombs, and that he found them because he planted them so that he could be famous. It was never proven that he did, but it dogged him and hounded him until he died, and basically it ruined his life being a savior. Or not, who knows? Nobody maybe doesn't know the truth, but that's just, So Richard Jewell. Also on this day, 2016, Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder, what a great, Willy Wonka, Young Frankenstein. He did a few things with Richard Pryor, some movies. Gene Wilder was just a really funny comedic actor. And did a lot of good things and great shows and great movies. There was an interview with him when he was near the end. I remember seeing it not too long ago on something, and you're just like, I guess, hey, when we get to the end, it happens. 2021, Ed Asner, we lost on this day. He was in Mary Tyler Moore and a couple other things, some movies. Ron Bushy of Iron Butterfly, 2021, Inagana Devita. And then in 2024, we lost Johnny Gaudreau. Remember that? Johnny Gaudreau last year, the Columbus Blue Jackets, killed in New Jersey by a reckless driver, him and his brother. Just struck down the prime of life. Just, not a good thing. So Johnny Gaudreau. And then finally, Rita Burns. She died in 2025, today. And why I bring up Rita Burns is because I haven't seen a dead person in a long time. I've seen dead people because I drove an ambulance. So when I was leaving my house this morning, as I was walking out to the street, I heard police sirens, and a cop car came screeching to a stop pretty much right in front of me. Like, and the cop jumped out and ran, like, pretty much past me. And I was like, what the hell? And then here comes 2, here comes 3, here comes 4. And like, I was like, whoa, what the? Like, it's Police City. And I walk, and I realized that my next door neighbor is on her front porch with a garden hose in her hand. And she is blue. She is arrested. And there's a young man standing in the street crying, a college student. And so, I kind of was like, so they started CPR on her, and the ambulance came and they continued CPR, and I stood there, and they're taking the particulars from this young man who happened to just be a neighbor, college student, and just was walking by, and he saw this woman on her porch and called 911. And it was my neighbor Rita. A few years ago, during the George Floyd protest, when they marched down Lane Avenue in Columbus, there was a picture of Rita that was posted. She had a poster. Rita was in her 80s, late 80s then. And literally millions of likes and posts on it. Everyone's like, I want her to be my grandma. She had been a retired school teacher for decades. And you could see Rita almost every day walking around, picking up bags of trash and cans. She would go and pick up the cans from all the college kids' front yards and carry 55-gallon bags. I mean, like giant. I mean, Rita, teeny little peanut of a human, would carry these giant filled bags and drag them along for cat welfare. So she would take them to recycle, and then she would donate all the proceeds to help cat welfare. Her front yard is a jungle. It's nothing but flowers. The entire yard, from the street in the common area all the way to the front of her house. It's just this beautiful, blooming, flowering thing that most neighborhoods would complain about this, but we live on campus, and everyone just goes, that was Rita. And just this beautiful, beautiful front yard. And I met Rita when I first moved into the house I live in now about 25 years ago. And I shovel her sidewalk in the winter. And I prune her sidewalk in the summer of the overgrown bushes and trees and flowers and everything else. And it was very surreal to see. Like I said, I've not seen a dead body in a while. And they transported Rita, but I knew, I drove an ambulance. I knew as long as they did CPR for as long as they did it, that she was not going to make it. But she was literally, in her gardening clothes, and there was a leaf bed there that was, open, and there was a little stool next to her. She had been gardening, and she was on the front porch, and she literally had the hose clutched in her hand. Just went while she was doing what she loved. In mid literally spritz of her flowers, just gone in a blink of an eye. So I guess it's sort of the reason I guess I read all these things, this historical, it's sort of the context that what we lose when we lose the stories from people, like from our parents, the things that we get passed down to us, the memories, the stories and the things that we share. I always say that time is the apex predator, that nothing survives it. Not you, not me, not the stars in the sky, not the rocks on the earth. Eventually, everything will succumb to time. And there was a little quote that I remembered from forever ago, and it's just an interesting one, and I always just sort of equate it with I guess, death and time. And it said that someone once told me that time is a predator that stalks us our entire lives. But I rather believe that time is a companion who goes with us on the journey and reminds us to cherish every moment, because they will never come this way again. What we leave behind is not as important as how we live, because after all, we are just mortal. So that's why I always do death at the end, because it is kind of final. But so that was my weird day. Sorry. Rita Burns, 2025. Thank you. Fade to black.